Hello and welcome to Atop the Fourth Wall, and I can't believe I'm still talking about this dumbass mini-series! Previously on the Act of God review, an unexplained event removed superpowers from every person on the planet, along with their brains. Kyle Rayner forgets how showers work, Clark and Lois separate and he goes to Diana, who's on Wall Street instead of trying to help people, and four former heroes decide to beg Batman to help them, kissing his ass because Doug Monk doesn't know how any other superhero works except Batman. So let's dig into Batman Act of God Part 3 starring Batman. The first of the three that I don't care for. Admittedly, I like the bookending nature of the bright light in the corner, roughly where the black light event was on the cover of the first part, but instead of some cool symbolism, we have an assemblage of non-powered heroes, including Catwoman for some reason, and then The Flash, Supergirl, Aquaman, and the Martian Manhunter in their new superhero costumes. And those costumes would have been fine if they were on other people, but knowing who these characters are, it just pisses me off beyond belief. Transforming people who were heroes in their own right into Doug Moenk's little bat army. We open to ZenGen Biotech Labs, with the dollhouse from last issue exploding thanks to the miniature atomic explosion, which still has me kind of scratching my head at the science there, and the Atom's growing form emerging from the explosion. My God, Palmer's gone! Gone? He's right there! If you mean he's dead, maybe you should check his pulse first! The other two scientists say that they'll need new test subjects, the third scientist angry that their research is going to be used for evil. But first things first, that explosion was loud. We'd best clear out before the police arrive. So, an explosion in a laboratory that's only blown up a small room at best is going to attract the police? We cut to the Joker, Captain Cold, and the Cyborg Superman storming into a penthouse where Rex Mason, the Blue Beetle, and Booster Gold are all staying. But how did they find them? Why, it turns out that Booster had called the newspaper and revealed who he was, expecting money-making offers to come in. Oh, for the love of people, go out and buy Showcase Presents Booster Gold! He is not this stupid, and it sure as hell is better than this crap! Anyway, the villains take the three prisoner and we cut to the Wiz radio station, where Billy Batson is interviewing Guy Gardner. Some of my fans have commented that Guy is wildly out of character too, since he'd be looking for a way to continue superheroing given his own history of losing powers as well. Further proving that Doug Moenk knows as much about these characters as I know about Greek line dances. Mainly, nothing! We cut to the Batcave, where the four heroes have finished their training and are ready to unveil their new costumes and identities. First up is the former Martian Manhunter, wearing a vest and parachute pants. John Jones, formerly the Martian Manhunter, now the Green Man. Took you all day to come up with that one, eh, Johnny? Detective and martial arts skills, shock value appearance. Yeah, the MC Hammer look will really put fear in the superstitious criminal mind. And full range of multi-purpose skull grenades. Yes, multi-purpose, like blow things up, and blow things up. Linda Danvers, formerly Supergirl, now Justice. Acrobatics, martial arts, double mace, scales of justice. Yeah, that's not a double mace. A double mace is where you have both maces on the same end. What you're holding is, I don't know what the hell that is, but it looks like you'll take your own head off with it. I showed Spoonie this stupid-ass weapon, and his words exactly. It looks like a kid's toy. The weapon idea has merit, but it'd need to be way longer and swinging way more weight in a longer chain. In other words, your weapon sucks! The costume itself isn't all that bad looking, but I'm not calling her Justice. She's Linda friggin' Danvers or Supergirl. In fact, I'm not calling any of them by their new made-up names. These would be fine if they were original characters, but they're not. So these new identities can probably go to hell. Wally West, formerly The Flash, now Red Devil. Martial arts, fearless abandon. How in the hell is fearless abandon a useful trait? That's like saying, it's a useful trait that I'm not afraid of diving headfirst into 30 guys wielding machine guns without any kind of protection. But then again, given how moronic everybody is acting... Arthur, formerly Aquaman, now The Hand. As in, talk to the... And the new wrist port accommodates a variety of interchangeable hands. You are the freaking ruler of all the oceans! You own most of the earth! You can summon krakens and all manner of deadly sea creatures, and now you're the Hand! Doug Moink, read a friggin' book! Anyway, Batman asks them if they're ready, but Oracle interrupts to tell them about Ray Palmer's death. Wait a minute, I received a phone call last night. A voice I could barely hear. The only words I made out sounded like a calmer, but the caller could have been Ray Palmer calling for help, but too small to make himself heard. So, in retrospect, his death is kinda my fault. Oops. Batman asks who's behind ZenGen, but Oracle says that she can't untangle the web of holding companies that's blocking who really owns it. Linda Danvers suggests that if Palmer was shrunken at the time of his death, he might have written a message smaller than what people would have been looking for. So she'll check with her former friends in the police forensics division to get in and take a look. Yeah, suddenly regular police work doesn't suck so much, does it, Linda? We cut to a church in New York where... Oh no. He wouldn't, would he? First the stock market, now the church, but never me. We said no promises, Clark. We also wondered if being together would cancel or double our loss. And that still doesn't make any friggin' sense to me. But, oh dear God, he did. Why? Because I'm praying? We thought we were cut off, Clark, with nothing to turn to. Maybe we were wrong. Princess Diana of the Amazons is in a Catholic church and praying! That's right, Wonder Woman is praying to the Christian God despite her entire freaking origin and the fact that she frequently invokes the Greek pantheon. You know, this comic is actually quite the argument for Satan's existence! And maybe we've already had our Judgment Day. Or a test. A trial, a lesson to be learned. Taught by God? Is that what you believed? God stripped our power so we could learn a lesson by not being able to help people? Maybe we weren't helping. Maybe we were just drunk on our own power, proving how superior we were.
Stupid! You're so stupid!
Let's count the ways, shall we? First, there's this stupid idea of Diana praying to the Christian God. Why in the 9 circles of hell is she praying to the Christian God? She has met her gods! She has met other pantheons of gods! If some deity was behind this, why is she doing this now and to this particular god? Furthermore, we saw her in the last issue. She was fine! She was idiotically at peace with her not having her powers. What, did she have some sort of internal crisis? Yeah, that might have been nice to see, Doug Moink, instead of just stupidly cutting to this without any explanation of what happened in the intervening time. Next, this story keeps bringing this idea up, that the heroes were somehow arrogant or superior when they had their superpowers. If that's true, they did a great job of covering it up. At no point in this mess did we ever see them acting smug, superior, arrogant, full of themselves, or otherwise acting in any manner except as superheroes. Oh, well, except for Metamorpho, who was doing archaeological digging. Yeah, what a blatantly selfish thing to do with his powers. Uncovering ancient lost civilizations for science and history. What an asshole. So, let's give this comic the benefit of the doubt and say that these superheroes being the key word here, somehow flaunted their power like gods and deserve to be taken down a peg. Well then whoever did this did a craptastic job of it, since the tech heroes probably felt smug and superior too. After all, regular law enforcement probably didn't have force fields and energy blasters, or superior strength through robotic limbs. But even after all of that garbage, we have this moronic premise that God is responsible for this, and, as Diana said, this is all a test. Speaking as a Christian, if this were true, God would have to be the most vindictive, dickish, and self-righteous asshole that has ever existed. Innocent people have died because of this supposed lesson. Millions more will die as time continues to pass. And for what? So they could be more like Batman? A man who only managed to maintain his crime-fighting skills because he's rich? Let's ignore even the idiotic plot points. This comic is just badly written. Any potential symbolism or subtlety is lost because the goddamn writer apparently thinks the reader is too stupid to figure it out themselves. Instead, we have painfully pretentious lines where they flat out state the frickin' obvious. Two gods humbled by an act of God?
Reduced to the human level, but still appearing non-human.
Like angels cast from heaven, fall into ignorance, but not innocence. Nothing but a snail's pace tour of lost glory. The fast life slowed to a crawl, screeched to a halt. People do not talk like that. Hate to break it to you, Doug Moenk, but this is not Richard III, and you sure as hell are not Shakespeare! Like I said, the only scene so far that actually seemed to capture this situation perfectly was Billy Batson. It was short, there weren't many lines, and the one thing that was kind of pretentious was
nothing but little Billy Batson, hollow voice on the radio, with nobody listening.
But it captured his feelings of loneliness and loss more powerfully than reduced to the level of those over whom we once towered. No, let me say that again.
Reduced to the level of those over whom we once towered.
Show! Don't tell, dude! I can't believe I have to be the one playing editor here! So, to sum up,
I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
I can only go uphill from here, right? It's not the level of our abilities, but what we do with what we have. Yeah, when you had powers, you served as an ambassador, enriched people's lives, and saved the world. Without powers, you went on Wall Street. I really hate this comic. Maybe the powers were a crutch.
Wrong, 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 wrong. Wrong, 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 wrong. You're wrong.
Anyway, Clark has had it up to here with her bullcrap and walks away, deciding to start drinking booze. I know the feeling. While Diana continues praying. Can you believe we're only 10 pages in? Linda Danvers goes through the evidence and finds the dollhouse table and the words scratched into it. Lab bad. Luthor. Can't contact. My God, actual intelligence! A brief message that gets right to the point! With the knowledge of Luthor's involvement, Oracle is able to trace the funding of the lab. However, they have no idea where the researchers for Zen-Gen went, and that the labs themselves have been cleared out. We cut to Star Labs, one of the premier science institutions of the DC Universe. In any normal story, they would have been working on the Black Light event. In this story, it's where the researchers have gone to, even though that doesn't make any sense since they're an independent research group and couldn't be bought by Luthor, but whatever. Flash's rogues, along with the Joker, are guarding the institution while the scientists continue their work. The one scientist with a conscience is still complaining, but the other jerkwad of a mad scientist just tells him to shut up because he's... okay, he has no motivation to be evil, he's just evil. Hey, I'll run with it. The villains are the only ones in this comic that are making any sense. Anyway, they're experimenting on Rex Mason, Blue Beetle, and Booster Gold, despite none of them actually having the metagene, while Luthor's other division works on the tech stolen last issue. 1 week later, seriously, stop telling us the time periods. It just makes everything look that much more ridiculous. Diana contemplates the idea that there may have been no reason for this. All my prayers have gone unanswered, and any lesson to be learned feels more and more like a cruel joke.
If there is a joke here, it's on me.
Meanwhile, Clark stumbles around in an alleyway drinking. He comes upon a homeless shelter run by a priest who gives him some money and says he should head back to New York after Clark tells an abridged version of his story. On the way to just use the money for more booze, he comes across a burning building where some firefighters rescue a kid. He remembers Diana's cliched and moronic speech about people doing good things with what they have. Oh, and by the way, despite sleeping in alleys for over a week and drinking himself silly, Clark is still sporting a pretty thick, muscular structure. Speaking of exercise, we cut to Kyle Rayner deciding to train himself to just fight Sonar hand-to-hand. Is he still on about this? Well, we see a letter indicating that Jade left him. I'm just